Hello and welcome to Trial TV Live. I am the Squeegee of Justice. Thank you so much for joining us today as we continue our coverage of California versus Carlos Dominguez. We are into day 6. Hold on a sec. Okay, had a couple browser windows there open on another channel or another computer. How's everybody doing today? How was your Mother's Day for those that celebrated? How are you guys doing today? How was your weekends? Jade, missed a lot. Do a brief recap. We will, as best as we can within the time allotted. Shirley Roth, good morning or good afternoon to you now. Sherry M, hello, how are you? Therapist Juno and Brat, how are you? I hope you're feeling better. Hellcat, hello to you. Alice, JWD, I hope you are feeling better too. Hey Gordon, how are you? Elizabeth G, happy Monday to you. Ken, happy Mother's Day to all the moms, folks playing the role of mom, whatever. Yes, hey Ruby, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Slim taking it easy. Yep. New position for Slim. And when Drunky the Bear gets here, let me know. Drunky, when you get here, do a hello, because I got a surprise for you. Golden Girl, hello to you. Irish Amy, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. All right, so we got via our Twitter account, let's see, is it Just Shamrock? Yes, Just Shamrock sent us this video, which I want to play for you guys. Because Isaac Chesman was one of the main witnesses. Oh, here, hold on. Isaac Chesman was one of the main witnesses on Friday, right? So Jade, I'll do a quick little recap here, and I want to play. Just Shamrock sent us this video. So basically, let's see, we had the main people that were on the stand was Christine Barrios. She's a friend of Kimberlee's, as well as Isaac Chesman. Now, those two are married, right? So Christine and Isaac were married, and they talked about the night that they heard somebody. They felt that somebody cut their tarp, and then Isaac chased somebody, and then a couple hours later, Kimberlee gets stabbed. That was the main gist of what happened. I know that's a brief recap, Jade, but that's basically what happened. But I want to play you Isaac's interview. Now, this was an interview. I'm not sure when, probably right after it happened. So let's check this out.
I was sitting out front and I felt the vibe, so I was sitting out front of the tent and I said, babe, this ain't feeling right. And I see the dude run across the way and started running, but he would stop along every tree to blend in with the tree because it's dark. And I noticed that because I was like, that's something that you would do if you're scoping something out. You know what I mean? So I was like, babe, he's really watching this. He's scoping us out right now. I said, hey, bruh. He starts walking normal. And then I said, you look like a dude that they've been describing. I've been stabbing people. And he takes off. I started to take off after him. And then my wife's like, don't leave me here. So I stopped. And then I turned back around. And I stayed here. And then I didn't want to go to sleep. I said, let's just sit up for a while. We stayed out front. My wife got cold. I said, let's go to bed. I felt like he was lurking around my tent. I heard some sticks snapping. I heard my tarp snap. And I touched the back of my tent. It was tense at first and loosened up. And I was like, man, like, God, just protect us all, man. Next thing you know, I hear her screaming, oh, God, help, please, he's here.
Right, so that's pretty much his testimony from, that's pretty much his testimony. Right, so that's pretty much Isaac's testimony boiled down into 55 seconds, because that's pretty much what he told the direct and then on cross. He chased this guy. He said he got this vibe, and he chased this guy that was across the street, and then Cross is saying, well, that's this pizza guy. That's Khalif from Steve's Pizza. But Isaac is saying, well, why did this guy like jump in between the I guess there was a planter with a tree in the middle of it, so there was like a bunch of them. And we took a look at that on Friday as well. We did a Google Maps, and we saw where they were. So you can see these planters around these trees, and there's like one every maybe 10 feet or something like that, 8 to 10 feet. And he was saying that he was jumping from tree to tree to tree, planter to planter to planter, not jumping, but like running, staying in the shadows. It's very dark there too. And Christine said the same thing. Through Christine, we found out that they were sleeping she was going to sleep. Isaac was too wired. He stayed up. And he is clean. He's clean and sober now for a year and 1 month. He said that he was involved with meth, but he's gotten past that. And Christine is also clean as well. So good on them. So that's pretty much it as far as recap. I know that's short and condensed, but all in all, that's pretty much what happened. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. He said that he called 911, I think 2 or 3 times that night. We know Kimberlee called 911 after she got stabbed. Let's see. We also heard from the latent print analyst. Let's see. We also heard from property evidence supervisor. We heard from dispatch. We heard from the guy who booked in Carlos, and those were only like 5-minute testimonies. So the big ones, the big one was was Christine and Isaac. And I think Isaac, to me, had more impactful testimony, right? Because he basically said that. I mean, that was his testimony, 2 years later now, because this happened 2023 of April. So here we are 2 years later, and he's pretty much saying the same thing. He got this vibe. He woke up his wife. That guy's out there. Then he hears, he chased them. Then he hears this, Kimberlee screaming. She did say in their testimony, they said Kimberlee said the curly-haired guy or the curly-haired boy or kid or something like that. So that was a little weird that Kimberlee was able to see like somebody stabbing her through the tent. She was able to turn around and see that he had curly hair. That was a little odd, but should be about 10 minutes, Gordon. Starts around 12:30 our time, 12:30, bottom of the hour. So they've been five minutes late here and there. So probably, I would say, maybe 10 minutes or so, bottom of the hour. So is Drunky the Bear with us yet? When Drunky the Bear gets in, let me know. So how is everybody doing? How was everybody's weekend? Mother's Day, if you guys celebrated. If not, no worries. What did we do this weekend? All right, let me try to see if there's any feeds available right now. The main channel that I am getting these feeds from does not have a feed up yet, so that's always concerning. Certainly hope that they have a feed. Let's see. JWD, Mother's Day was great. Good. Glad to hear that. Therapist is also asking. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Brat, your weekend involved mostly lying around feeling sick. Not my top weekend this month. Sorry, Brad. I'm glad you're in our chat at least. I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Ken says, I've been liking this judge from the bits I've heard. Oh, he's great. Yeah, he's fantastic, Ken. He's one of my top 2 or 3. Samuel T. McAdam, Judge McAdam. Yeah, him and Kranick are like, they're aces. I love them. Ken, allergies violently attacked my eyes. Did anybody feel that earthquake that was in Tennessee, North Carolina? They felt it as far as Charlotte. If anybody's in that area, let me know if you felt that earthquake. Shirley Roth, you celebrated with your kitties. Haven't seen your girls this year, but this year will be 24 Mother's Days. Oh, c'est la vie. Sorry, Shirley. Golden Girl, Mother's Day is better when you're a grandmother. Very cool. Yeah, did anybody feel that earthquake? I think it was Saturday. Ruby got to celebrate with our youngest son who graduated college with his degree in radiology. I remember you were saying that on Friday. He landed a job at a local major hospital. Fantastic. That's a great career to have. He will be probably forever in employment with a degree like that. Oh, looks like we've got a feed. Okay, cool. We have a feed. We have a feed. All right, let me get over here. Looks like we have a feed. It came to Georgia as well, Golden Girl. Yeah, wow. Hey, Deanna May, good morning to you. Northwest, hello to you. All right, let me focus on getting our feed up. How was camping, Deanna? How was your camp? You're camping all this week, I think, right? How is camping going? It rained here all weekend, pretty much. It's raining. Well, it's not raining now, but it's pretty overcast. We've gotten rain, yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today, yeah, it's supposed to kind of clear out maybe by tomorrow. First Mother's Day as a Nana. Nice. So nobody, so just a few people felt that earthquake on Saturday. It's a 4.1. It was pretty big for the eastern part of the United States. I was watching some news reports out of Charlotte and the Carolinas, and they had this one guy call in. He said he was shaking. Nothing broke though, but he said it was just kind of shaking his house. Deanna May, you're still camping? We have rain this morning, but Sunday at around noon for the rest of the day. It's fantastic. Cool. Good for you. Waiting for Drunky to join the chat. I have a surprise, I guess, for her. Yeah. Northwest 4.1 is a tickle. It's all relative, right? It's like a hurricane versus a blizzard or whatever. Yeah. 4.1 is a tickle for you if you've been through 5, 6, 7s. Yeah, yes, Ken, happy Mother's Day to Polly. Yeah, we posted a picture of Polly on our community tab, so go check that out. I'm working on a few new projects for Trial TV Live. So one of those was I did a lot of filming this weekend. So now I just have to put it together and I'll release it for you guys. So look forward to that. And also there's some other live events that we're going to be doing with some of our mods. So we've got some good things in the works for you guys. So definitely we're expanding. We're doing some cool new things. Yes, therapist, I love that picture of Precious Polly. Kathy Davis, yes, thank you for becoming a member or re-upping. New member, cool. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate that. Gordon, beautiful here. Even got my washing on the line. Very cool. Tennessee earthquake was very deep. Yes, make therapist work. Yes. And Rachel too. Yes. Well, careful what you say, Ken. Careful what you ask for. Therapist, I heard it was Ken Rosenberg defining Latin legal terms. The anime, your boat almost sank, but we got it to the dock in time. Blew out a hose. Jeez. And that involved camping? You're camping on the water, or you're just by a body of water that you can go into the water? Yeah, I worked all weekend. I mowed the lawn on Saturday, partially. Couldn't get the lawn mowed on Sunday because it was raining. So I focused on inside. Saturday I did some filming. Sunday I did some filming. Also wrote a description with the help of a therapist and Dr. Rachel. Came up with a thumbnail. So we got some cool things in the works for you guys. Some's going to be live. Some's going to be members only. Some's going to be recorded previously and then released. So got some fun things. Oh, looks like we got some movement here. Camping at a lake. Cool. All right, I'm going to go quiet. Seems like we might be getting close to coming on. So I will see you guys on the other side. See, hopefully this should kick in soon. And make sure you hit the like button. I have to do the same. Okay. I'm all liked up. I have a feeling the jury's coming in now when they do that. It was a rough weekend for Slim Pickens over there. Slim Pickens had a rough weekend. He's laying down, hanging out. He had a tough one. He was holding on to that guitar. Hey, Capri, thank you. Thank you for being with us. The anime was number 11. Cool. I think I was, I'd have to go check. I must have been like 20th or something. Northwest Hangover, right? I feel your pain, the anime. Shirley Roth, Slim Party Too Hard. Okay, here we go.
Okay, let's go on the record in the case People of the State of California versus Carlos Reales Dominguez, case 23-1391. Parties are present with counsel. Listen, we're missing juror number 8, and I don't want to go too far into it because of privacy concerns, but he is unable, our friend is unable to continue at this time. He did have a medical issue that came up, and so I am going to direct the jury commissioner to get a get well card for us to sign and send to him, and I'll circulate that when the moment is ready, when we have that. So the court will find good cause to excuse juror number 8 at this time. And I'm optimistic and hopeful based on the information I was given that he's going to be okay, but it was serious enough that he's not going to be able to continue. Okay, and I think I told the alternates the way this works. I have a dice here. I was joking with my clerk before. I played a lot of backgammon over the weekend, just going through it. My wife was frustrated. I did get a lot of double sixes, but anyway, we'll see what happens here. So I'm going to roll the dice, and it's 1 through 6, and we'll see. We'll play somebody every time. All right, number 2 then. That would be A2 is Miss Scales. So Miss Scales, I want you to pick up and move over to seat number 8. We collect the notepads and everything, and we'll give her a new badge. Everyone can stay seated. One other thing on alternates. Jurors, do we need to swear her in? Okay. While we're working on that, we started this trial with 6 alternates. I mean, you can see, you've been here for a couple weeks now, how important this is, how much resources go into it, and so forth. The worst case scenario for us would be we would lose a jury, and all of the time that we went into was for naught if I didn't have 12 jurors at the end. And that's why we have alternates, because things do happen. And so everyone needs to be ready. I look at you as a group of 18, now 17, and I have enough experience to know that things do happen. So I appreciate everyone being so diligent and staying with us. And now we have 12. And Mr. Clerk, will you swear in juror number 8?
Can you stand up? Please raise your right hand. You understand and agree that you will well and truly try the cause now pending before this court, and the true verdict render according fully to the evidence presented to you and to the instructions of the court. If you agree, please answer yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, so we're in the evidentiary phase of this trial. The people's case in chief, we're taking testimony. And Mr. DeMore, do you have a witness you'd like to call?
Yes, you can call Megan Wood.
Okay, let's get Megan Wood. Good morning, Ms. Wood. Come on into the podium right before me here. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Good morning.
The clerk will give you the oath, and then I'd like you to take the witness stand.
You do solemnly swear to free your give the cause now pending before the court, show you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you.
State your first and last name for the record and spell the vote.
Megan Wood, Meganwood.
Okay, thank you. Mr. DeMore, director.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Wood.
Good morning.
Ms. Wood, where do you work?
I work for the Sacramento County District Attorney's Laboratory of Forensic Services, also known as the Sacramento County Crime Lab.
What do you do there?
I'm a criminalist.
What's that?
A criminalist is a scientist that examines physical evidence related to crimes, writes a report to our findings, and testifies in court as needed.
How long have you done that?
I've been a criminalist for 15 and a half years, and I've worked at the lab for 18.
With your position as a criminalist, I think you have to have specific education, training, and experience to be qualified for that position.
Yes.
Take us through that. What's your education, training, and background that makes you qualified to be a criminalist?
So I have a bachelor's degree in biology, minors in both chemistry and criminal justice, and I have a master's degree in forensic science. I've also taken multiple classes at the California Criminalistics Institute regarding DNA extraction, STR analysis, body fluid identification, statistics, as well as performing an in-depth training program at my laboratory before being signed off to do casework on my own.
As part of a criminalist, do you have to go through sort of like continuing education to stay up to date on relevant trends, changes in science and technology?
Yes, each year we have to complete at a minimum 8 hours of continuing education.
Are you a member of any professional associations?
Yes, the California Association of Criminalists, and I'm also certified by the American Board of Criminalistics in foundational knowledge.
And do you do any teaching or instruction?
I do train law enforcement occasionally on basic DNA analysis as well as how to read a lab report.
And speaking of DNA analysis, have you ever analyzed DNA samples?
Yes.
How many?
Over 11,000.
And you're familiar with the process of how to obtain and analyze those samples and make comparisons and identifications?
Yes, I am.
And have you developed something called reference profiles?
Yes.
What are those?
A reference profile is a sample known to have come from a particular person. So if I take a swab and swab the inside of my mouth, then that is a reference sample for me.
And have you testified in court as an expert before?
Yes.
In what areas?
DNA analysis, body fluid identification, and crime scene.
And Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to offer Ms. Wood as an expert in DNA analysis.
Anybody here?
No, Your Honor.
We have a qualified expert.
So, Ms. Wood, I want to focus on DNA, and in explaining DNA, have you prepared a PowerPoint demonstrative to go through what DNA is, the testing, and the results that you can obtain from DNA analysis?
Yes, I have.
And so, you could... And there's a stipulation to people 72, that is what prepared a PowerPoint.
Okay. Thank you, counsel. I appreciate the professionalism.
Thank you. Or publish that, please. Right now on the screen, Ms. Wood, is this the first slide of your PowerPoint?
Yes, it is.
All right, so if you could take us through forensic DNA analysis.
Absolutely. Am I driving here, or are you?
I'll start with you. So we'll start with what is DNA, and you tell me when you need to switch slides, and we'll go that way.
Great, thank you. So DNA is often referred to as the blueprint of life, and each of us receives half of our DNA from our mom and half from our dad. And you are unique to you. Unless you have an identical twin, no one else has the same DNA as you. Now, you might be surprised to hear that over 99% of the DNA in each of us is exactly the same. But that's what makes us all human. That's why we all have one head and 2 arms and 2 legs. And it's that less than 1% that makes an individual unique that I'm interested in when I'm performing my testing. And I can develop a profile off of an evidence item looking for those unique characteristics.
When you say develop a profile, is that talking about that reference profile that I asked you about earlier?
Either a reference profile or a profile off of an evidence item, yes. We're ready to move on.
Just a minor technical difficulty there. All right, thank you, sir. All right, so take us through the process of DNA analysis.
So DNA analysis is a multi-step process. And so we see on the slide a t-shirt, and let's just say that that's a blood stain. I take a cutting of that blood stain, I put it into a tube, I add chemicals and heat, and I'm breaking open all the cells, and I'm doing the first step called DNA extraction, where I end up with a tube of purified DNA. Then I take that DNA and I do the next step called quantitation, where I'm finding out approximately how much DNA is in that sample. Once I know that, I can perform amplification, where I'm making millions of copies of that same DNA that I'll use in my testing. Then I develop an evidence profile by analyzing the DNA, and we'll see an evidence profile on the next slide. So this is what a profile looks like, either evidence or a reference. And I knew all of us couldn't read, so I made some little red ones here. XY, that means that this profile is from a male. If there was just a single, I'm going to call that a peak. We see 2 peaks. Sorry, I had too much coffee. An X and a Y. If there was just an X, then that would be a profile from a female. Each one of these is a different location of DNA that I'm testing. At this location, I see a 714. That's just the DNA profile at that one location. And then at the bottom, in the middle, 1, 2, 3 down, we see a single 12. That means that this individual received both a 12 from mom and a 12 from dad. So this is what I'm looking at when I develop a DNA profile.
So what results do you get from that?
So once I have one of those DNA profiles, I look at it to see if it's interpretable, meaning can I tell how many contributors are present? Is it DNA from one individual, or is it a mixture, meaning there are multiple people present? Once I know that, I interpret the DNA results, I I can make that comparison to reference profiles, and I can obtain a likelihood ratio. And we'll talk more about the likelihood ratio, but that's a statistic that enables me to draw a conclusion as when a person of interest is compared to an evidence profile. So it's the comparison of a probability of a result given two competing propositions. And the next slide will make that more clear. So in forensic DNA analysis, the result obtained is from the evidence item. So here we see that t-shirt. I've obtained a DNA profile, and there's two propositions for how that DNA could have gotten onto that evidence item. One is the person of interest is the contributor, and the other is the person of interest is not the contributor. It's DNA from a random person. May I keep going?
Yes.
Thank you. So the proposition changes depending on the circumstances of the case. So in the first section here, we see what says single source sample, where I have John Smith. So the evidence profile, is John Smith the contributor, or is a random individual the contributor? In the middle of the slide, we see what says two-person mixture, meaning DNA from multiple people. Is it John Smith and a random person, or is it DNA from two random individuals? And then in the last area on the slide to the right, we see a two-person mixture with an assumed contributor, meaning I'll just call her Jane. Say I have fingernail scrapings from Jane. I can assume that Jane is on her own fingernail scrapings. So that's why she's in the bottom and top of this equation. Is it Jane and John Smith are present? Are they the potential contributors to the evidence, or is it Jane and a random person? And then this is how the likelihood ratio is read. It's the probability of obtaining the DNA result off that t-shirt if John Smith is the contributor, and that equals 1, over the probability of obtaining that same DNA result if a random person is the contributor, and that's a very small number. So it is at least 1 times 10 to the 6th, or 1 million times more likely to obtain the DNA result if John Smith is the contributor than if a random, unrelated individual is the contributor.
Next slide.
And once,
likelihood ratio, you could explain that?
yes, so once I do the comparisons to the reference profiles and I obtain that number, that likelihood ratio, any number that is 100 or higher, I say that that person of interest is included as a potential contributor. If the number is 0.01 or lower, I say that person is inconclusive as a potential contributor, meaning I'm not making an opinion whether they're present or not. And if the likelihood ratio is 0.01 and lower, I'm sorry, I think I read that backwards. 0.01 to 100 is inconclusive, and 0.01 and lower is an exclusion, meaning the person of interest is not a contributor. My apologies.
All right, so Ms. Wood, when you get a DNA sample and you develop a profile, if you don't already have one, is it the ask of you is to determine, can you identify the person contributing to this or exclude them from a possible source?
Yes.
So I want to go to your involvement in this case with Mr. Carlos Dominguez. Were you involved in the investigation that was taking place in the city of Davis in April and May of 2023 involving a series of stabbings?
I was involved in May, yes.
How did you get involved?
I was asked by either my supervisor or the laboratory director if I was willing to perform work in a fee-for-service case for the Davis Police Department on overtime to help prevent future crimes.
And so fee-for-service means one agency pays your agency for you to do work on that case?
Correct, because my laboratory is Sacramento County, Any other agency outside of the county would have to pay, whereas any agency within Sacramento County, we don't charge.
And so as the Sacramento DA Crime Lab, is it common for your agency to make itself available to outside agency support in those circumstances where it's needed?
It is fairly common, yes.
Did you receive certain parts of evidence, in this case, analyzed for DNA?
I did receive evidence, yes.
And I want to, before we get into the evidence itself, was there some evidence that you received from law enforcement that you analyzed, and then some evidence you received that you sent to a different crime lab?
I didn't personally send anything to another crime lab, but I did receive evidence that I didn't test, that I gave back to our evidence section of the laboratory, and they would have transferred that somewhere.
And you're aware that some of that evidence was transferred to the California Department of Justice?
Yes.
So I'm going to start with, when you analyze pieces of evidence in this case for this investigation, did you write reports detailing your findings?
Yes, I did.
So I'm going to show you several reports. I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 71, People's Exhibit 13A, 13B, and 13C. All right, Your Honor?
Okay, and we don't need the board.
No. Ms. Wood, starting with 71 in your hand, and then the other three are 13A, 13B, and 13C. Do you recognize People's Exhibit 71?
Yes, I do.
Actually, to start with 71, 13A, 13B, and 13C. Are those all reports that you produced?
Yes, they are.
And you're familiar with the contents of all the reports?
I am.
And do those reports fairly accurately depict your findings through your analysis of the evidence that you received?
Yes, they do.
Now, looking at 71, what report is that? What are your findings? Without telling me your findings, what is it that you analyze in detail in that report?
In 71, I analyzed the right and left hand fingernail scrapings from Mr. Karim Abou Najm, and I also looked at a Black Path water bottle that I took swabs from, and then I also made a comparison of Mr. Dominguez's reference sample to samples that I previously analyzed from a bicycle and swabs from that same water bottle that someone else collected.
Okay. Now looking at 13A, what is that one?
In 13A, this is a report where I compared Mr. Dominguez's reference sample to swabs that I previously obtained a profile from a knife sheath.
Okay. What's 13B?
13B is the first report I wrote in this case, where I received a blood sample from Mr. David Breaux and a Smith & Wesson knife sheath.
And what is 13C?
13C is the report I wrote where I said I developed a reference profile for Mr. Dominguez.
Ms. Wood, when you prepare those reports, do you make them in the regular course of your duties as a criminalist?
Yes, I do.
When you make those reports, when you produce your findings, do you do them at or near the time of your analysis and the completion of that?
Yes.
Are you custodian of records for these reports?
No, my laboratory is.
Do you have access to them and ability to pull them and produce them for court?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us, I know I just showed them to you, and how do you prepare these reports, either to produce to law enforcement or other agencies or for court?
So I have a lot of notes called bench notes that I prepare along the way while I'm conducting all of my analyses. And then I look at those notes and then I type a report to summarize what I did. And then that's released to law enforcement. And each report goes through 2 reviews. So the first one's called a technical review, and that's where a person who is qualified to do the same work that I've done in my case make sure that they agree with the work that I've done. And then it goes through a second review called an administrative review, and that person's making sure that everything else is correct in the case file. Like I have a case number on every page, and I've initialed and dated every page.
And is the source, the information that you receive, is that all done through your analysis and what you've examined, and then you transfer that into your report?
Yes.
What steps do you or your lab take to make sure that the reports are accurate and contain correct information?
So they go through those 2 reviews.
And did that happen in the reports generated in People 71, 13A, 13B, and 13C?
Yes.
So let's start with some of your analysis in this case. So you had mentioned that you had received a knife sheath and a blood reference sample for Mr. David Breaux.
Yes.
So I may approach and grab an exhibit. I may approach with People's 9. And Ms. Wood, if you could open People's Exhibit 9 for me. And do you recognize what's in there?
I do.
How do you recognize that?
It is the black knife sheath that I collected swabs from.
Okay. And that's the Smith & Wesson knife sheath that was provided to you?
Yes.
All right, so let's go through what you did. You said you took swabs from this. How did you take those swabs?
So I swabbed the inside of the knife sheath. And a swab is just basically a Q-tip that I moisten with a wooden stick. And I swab inside, and then I swabbed the outside as 2 separate samples.
And why do you do the inside and the outside?
In this case, I was aware that someone had been stabbed, and so I thought that there might be blood on the inside of the knife sheath, and blood is a very rich source of DNA, meaning it has a lot of DNA. And then the outside, I didn't see any staining consistent with blood, so I was doing that swab to collect what's called contact DNA, and that's also referred to as touch DNA. So I've touched this pointer a couple of times. I've probably left some of my DNA on there, but I'm not bleeding, so I probably didn't leave very much blood or very much DNA.
Now, with your analysis of this and your taking your swabs, and we'll get back to the analysis of this, had you created a reference profile for Mr. David Breaux?
At the time I swabbed the knife sheath?
Yes, at or near the time.
I did not have it before, no.
At some point, did you create a reference profile for Mr. David Breaux?
Yes.
And when did you create that profile?
I'll need to refer to my report.
Request for recollection?
Go ahead.
So I did the sampling of both of those items on May 1st, 2023. So the profiles were developed at the same time on May 2nd, 2023.
So once you got extracted the swabs from the sheet and created this reference profile for Mr. Breaux, did you then analyze the samples and the DNA samples and the reference sample to determine whether Mr. Breaux was a contributor to DNA on that night sheet?
Yes, I did make that comparison.
And what result, if any, did you get?
I'll refer to my report. It was inconclusive whether Mr. Breaux was a contributor to the DNA results because a likelihood ratio of 2 does not provide support for inclusion or exclusion.
Now, at that time, were you able to develop a profile for Mr. Carlos Dominguez?
I did not have his profile at the time, no.
At some point, did you get his profile?
Yes, I did.
So I want to jump ahead in time to talk about that. On May 4th of 2023, did you then receive a reference sample for Mr. Carlos Dominguez?
Yes, I did.
Who did you receive that from?
The Sacramento Sheriff's Office Detective Propachuk.
And was that in the form of like one of those Q-tips, or was it like a blood sample, if you recall what you received?
I don't recall. May I check? Thank you. It said it was a buccal swab from the left cheek.
Now, with that that swab that you received, at that point, 3 days later, is that when you were able to create the reference sample for Mr. Dominguez?
On May 4th, yes.
And so on May 4th, now that you have this reference sample, did you compare the DNA swabs from the knife sheath a second time to this now new reference sample?
Yes.
And what were the results of your analysis when you compared the swabs to Mr. Dominguez's profile?
I'll refer to my report. Well, first I want to make sure that I clarify that I did take the swabs from the inside and outside of the knife sheath, but when I got to the step called amplification, I combined those DNA extracts because I had very little DNA in both of them. So when I did that, I obtained a DNA profile. It was a mixture that I assumed were 3 contributors, at least 2 males. And then when I compared Mr. Dominguez, he was included. And it is at least 1 times 10 to the 28th times more likely to obtain the DNA results if Mr. Dominguez and 2 random unrelated individuals are contributors to the mixture than if 3 random unrelated individuals are contributors.
Okay, so let's break that down. You said 1 times 10 to the 28th. I'm a lawyer. Math is very hard for me. So how many zeros are in that number?
So that's 28 zeros. Let's say 1 billion has 9 zeros and a trillion has 12 zeros, and my number has 28 zeros behind it.
And so based on your analysis of this, Mr. Dominguez's DNA was on that knife sheath.
He was included as a potential contributor.
I'm sorry, just a moment. Did you get that?
Can you say that again?
Yeah, it was a sneeze.
Oh, pardon me. He was included as a potential contributor.
Now, I want to shift gears for just a second. When you talked about forming this reference, this profile for Mr. Dominguez, Was that produced in the document Exhibit 13C?
Yes, it is.
And so, with Mr. Dominguez's profile and with your analysis and saying that Mr. Dominguez is one times into the 28th likely contributor to this DNA or to this, having his DNA on there, can we say what the likelihood is? I mean, maybe I'm not phrasing this correctly, but the likelihood that it is Mr. Dominguez's DNA on that next sheet.
So no, we can't say it the way that you said it.
Okay. But do you know what I'm saying when I say it like that?
I do. So this is why we went through on the PowerPoint, and I had where I'm not assuming any contributors, and we had 2, but this one has 3. And so it's 1 times 10 to the 28th times more likely to obtain the DNA results from that knife sheath if Mr. Dominguez and 2 random unrelated individuals are contributors than if, on the bottom of the equation, 3 random unrelated individuals are contributors.
Right, so those 28 zeros at the end of that number, just to give it some reference, how many zeros, or what's the population of the Earth?
I think it's somewhere around 7 billion.
All right, so how many zeros is a billion have?
9.
So about 3 times as many zeros in your analysis as compared to the population of the Earth.
That statement is true, yes.
Okay. So, we're working together on these numbers because, like I said, attorneys are not good at that. You probably know that from Sacramento, right? Actually, I won't ask you to commit to that answer. So, all right, so let's shift gears here for a second. So we've covered the knife sheath. Now, you had mentioned that in your analysis, you had done some analysis on some fingernail scrapings as well. Did I have that correct?
Yes.
So, as part of your analysis and the evidence that you received in this case, did you create a DNA profile or reference profile for Mr. Karim Abou Najm?
Yes, I did.
And when did you create that profile?
May I refer to my notes?
Yes, that'll request a reflection.
So that was also on May 2nd, the same day that I developed the reference profile for Mr. David Breaux.
Now, on May 3rd of 2023, did you analyze 5 right-hand fingernail scrapings obtained from Mr. Abou Najm and 5 left-handed fingernail scrapings from him as well?
It was 5 right-hand fingernail scrapings, and there were actually 6 sticks from the left hand.
When you say sticks, what do you mean?
It's just a little piece of wood with a broken end that's used to scrape under the fingernails to collect DNA.
And did you also analyze that Black Path refillable water bottle as well as part of this analysis?
Yes, I did.
And at the time you conducted this analysis, did you also have the reference profile for Mr. Dominguez as well?
No, I did not.
at some point when you did your analysis, did you compare the DNA swabs to Mr. Dominguez's reference profile?
Yes, I did.
So, did you go through the same process and analysis that you described in the PowerPoint and try to identify if there were contributors, both include or exclude?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so let's go through your findings on this. And I should say also as well, did you analyze DNA swabs obtained from a bicycle as well that was believed to be Mr. Karim Abou Najm's?
Yes, I did.
And are those results all included in People's Exhibit 71?
So People's Exhibit 71 is the second report that I wrote in the Karim Abou Najm homicide, and that included my examination of the right and left fingernail scrapings, and it also included comparing Mr. Dominguez to those, as well as comparing Mr. Dominguez to profiles that I previously obtained from the bicycle.
I'm going to break this up in a series of questions. When you say profiles you previously obtained from the bicycle, you had previously analyzed DNA swabs from that bicycle prior to having Mr. Dominguez's reference profile, is that correct?
Yes, and I wrote a separate report for that.
And so once you got the profile, then you compared his reference profile to those previous findings to see if he could be included or excluded from being a contributor to any DNA.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so focusing on the second report or the second analysis where you have Mr. Dominguez's reference profile, I want to go through starting with the bike and then we'll go to those fingernail scrapings, if that's okay.
Okay.
So, at some point during I should say during your analysis, before we get into the specifics, did you combine some of the samples to look for DNA to include or exclude someone?
Yes, I did.
And why did you do that?
There were some samples that had 2 swabs collected, and there were some envelopes of evidence that had 1 swab collected. And so when there were 2, I combined those for DNA analysis. There may have been a couple that I left as single, and that could have been that they had more blood on them.
When you combined samples, did that in any way affect the outcome of your analysis?
I mean, it can, but I'm combining swabs that were taken from the same location. So if I swab this microphone, I would swab the microphone part. If I use 2 swabs, I could combine those. I wouldn't also swab the water container and then combine that with the microphone. Those would be 2 separate samples.
That was my question. When you're combining, you're just combining from the same location, not different items.
Correct.
So I want to start with People 71, the swab of the bicycle right hand grip. And when you analyze this, were you able to, was Mr. Dominguez included, excluded, or was it inconclusive?
I obtained a mixture of 2 contributors, and it was inconclusive whether Mr. Dominguez was present, because the likelihood ratio of 2 does not provide support for inclusion or exclusion.
What's the likelihood ratio of 2? What does that mean?
So where I said before 1 times 10 to the 28th, and it was a very large number that none of us know what it is, now I'm saying the number 2, which we all know what the number 2 is.
All right, so then move to the swab of the bicycle left hand grip, item 002-06. Were you able to include Mr. Dominguez, exclude him, or was it inconclusive?
So it was a mixture of 2 contributors, and Mr. Dominguez was excluded.
But first, for the record, that first one where you said it was inconclusive, that was item 001-05. For item 003-07, was that the swab of the bicycle right brake lever?
Yes.
Was Mr. Dominguez included, excluded, or was it inconclusive?
So that was also a mixture. I assumed 2 contributors. Mr. Dominguez, it was inconclusive whether he was a contributor to the DNA results, because the likelihood ratio of 1 does not provide support for inclusion or exclusion.
Okay, moving to item 004-08, swab of bicycle left brake lever. Same question, was Mr. Dominguez included, excluded, or inconclusive?
I obtained a mixture. I assumed there were 2 contributors, and Mr. Dominguez was excluded.
Now, the next one in your report is documented. It's item 005-09A, B, 006-10A, 10B, 009-13A, 13B, and 010-18AB, which were respectively swabs of the bicycle rear brake cable along the top tube, swab of bicycle rear brake cable along top tube, swab of bicycle right handlebar, swab of bicycle right handlebar, swab of bicycle left brake pedal arm, swab of bicycle left brake pedal arm, and swabs of water bottle exterior. Were all of these, were you able to include or exclude Mr. Dominguez, or was it inconclusive?
For all of these, I obtained a profile. I assumed there was 1 contributor, and Mr. Dominguez was excluded from all of them.
For item 007-11-AB, swab the bicycle seat underneath the left side. Same question, included Mr. Dominguez, excluded, or inconclusive?
So I obtained a profile. It was a mixture. I assumed there were 2 contributors, and it was inconclusive whether Mr. Dominguez is a contributor to the DNA results, because a likelihood ratio of 2 does not provide support for inclusion or exclusion.
Now, the last of the bicycle, item 008-12-AB, swab the top of the bicycle seat. Mr. Dominguez was excluded from this analysis, or this contribution, correct?
Yes, that was also a mixture of 2 contributors, and Mr. Dominguez was excluded.
All right, so moving to Mr. Karim Abou Najm's fingernail scrapings that we were just talking about. When we look at item 012-SA-2A for your reference, actually, I should step back. For all the fingernail scrapings, when you had been talking earlier about assumed contributors and that your own DNA is going to be on you, for all the fingernail scrapings, was Mr. Abou Najm a assumed contributor?
Yes, he was. When I obtained the profiles from those, it was reasonable to assume that he was a contributor in all of them.
And so for that fingernail scraping, the right hand fingernail scraping stick, as it relates specifically to Mr. Dominguez, were you able to include him, exclude him, or was it inconclusive?
So it was a mixture. I assumed 2 contributors, and Mr. Dominguez was inconclusive whether he was a contributor to the DNA results, because the likelihood ratio of 11 does not provide support for inclusion or exclusion.
So moving to item 012-SA-2B, another right hand fingernail scraping. On this one, were you able to include or exclude Mr. Dominguez?
So this was a mixture. I assumed 2 contributors, and Mr. Dominguez was included. It is at least 1 times 10 to the 7th times more likely to obtain the DNA results if Mr. Abou Najm and Mr. Dominguez are contributors to the mixture than if Mr. Abou Najm and a random unrelated individual are contributors.
Now for items 012-SA-2C, 2E and 13SA-3A. That was a right-hand fingernail scraping, another right-hand fingernail scraping, and a left-hand fingernail scraping. Were you able to interpret or achieve results from that analysis?
No, those three results were uninterpretable due to an indication of a mixture, but the only alleles typing were from Mr. Abou Najm.
In your analysis of item 12-SA-2D, another right-hand fingernail scraping, were you able to, was there any other contributor other than Mr. Abou Najm?
No, it was a single contributor. He was the only one.
So I want to move to the left-hand fingernail scraping. So item 13-SA-3BC, left-hand fingernail scraping. Was Mr. Dominguez included, excluded, or was it inconclusive?
It was a mixture. I assumed two contributors, and Mr. Dominguez was excluded.
And item 13-SA-3DEF, the last of the left-hand fingernail scrapings. Was Mr. Dominguez included, excluded, or was it inconclusive?
So I obtained a mixture. I assumed there were two contributors, and it was inconclusive whether Mr. Dominguez was a contributor to the DNA results because a likelihood ratio of 0.58 does not provide support for inclusion or exclusion.
Now, you had mentioned as part of your analysis that you had done a DNA analysis of water bottle swabs, or swabs of the water bottle, the black top water bottle. And in item 14-CS2-18A, was that one of the water bottle swabs that you analyzed?
Yes, that's one that I collected myself.
And where did you, when you said you collected it yourself, where did you swab?
This was swabbed in an area that looked smeared to me. I described it as possibly an area that had previously been swabbed.
What were the results of your analysis compared to the reference profiles that you created?
So I obtained a mixture. I assumed that there were two contributors, and Mr. Abou Najm and Mr. Dominguez were both included. And then I have three different likelihood ratios. It is at least 6 times 10 to the 28th times more likely to obtain the DNA results if Mr. Abou Najm and a random unrelated individual are contributors to the mixture than if two random unrelated individuals are contributors. It is at least 2 times 10 to the 17th times more likely to obtain the DNA results if Mr. Dominguez and a random unrelated individual are contributors to the mixture than if two random unrelated individuals are contributors. And it is at least 3 times 10 to the 48th times more likely to obtain the DNA results if Mr. Abou Najm and Mr. Dominguez are contributors to the mixture than if two random unrelated individuals are contributors.
And the question is, why 3 different likelihoods?
So, like we went through in the PowerPoint slide, there were different propositions for how the DNA could have been obtained. The first one is Mr. Abou Najm was my person of interest, so I compared him and gave that likelihood ratio. The second one, I compared Mr. Dominguez and gave that likelihood ratio. And in the third one, I compared both of them and gave that likelihood ratio.
And do you recall from the water bottle swab, or excuse me, the water bottle, what was it you swabbed? Did it appear to be blood? Did it appear to be, what was it?
It was blood.
Now moving to the second swab of the water bottle, item 14-CS2-18B. Was this the second swab, and did you personally do the swab as well?
Yes, I did.
And what is it that you swabbed?
So for this swab, I rotated the bottle around and swabbed an area opposite the side of the smearing where I took the first swab of blood, and I tested it and it was negative for blood because I was trying to obtain more of an area of contact DNA and avoid blood. So I swabbed that area opposite, and then I did test that swab and it actually did have blood on it.
And your results of your analysis for the swab?
It was a mixture. I assumed there were 2 contributors.
Was it inclusive of Mr. Dominguez, exclusive, or inconclusive?
So Mr. Dominguez, it was inconclusive whether he was a contributor to the DNA results because a likelihood ratio of 0.76 does not provide support for inclusion or exclusion. And I also compared Mr. Abou Najm. He was included. It is at least 1 times 10 to the 30th times more likely to obtain the DNA results if Mr. Abou Najm and a random unrelated individual are contributors to the mixture than if 2 random unrelated individuals are contributors.
And Ms. Wood, any further items of evidence or reference samples, were there any further ones that you analyzed in this case?
Not that I recall.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mora. That was correct. Mr. Hutchinson, cross-examination?
Yes, very briefly. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
My name is Dan Hutchinson. I just have a few questions for you. You indicated that you swabbed the knife sheath that had been provided to you.
That's correct.
I'd just like to discuss the procedure you follow in doing this. You essentially take a long Q-tip. Is that correct?
Correct.
That has a cotton swab on the end.
Yes.
You put some liquid on the end of that swab.
Some water, yes.
Just water. Then you roll that swab over the entirety of the outer sheath of the knife.
Of the sheath, yes.
Excuse me, the outer sheath.
Correct.
So you roll it over the entire sheath. Is that correct?
I mean, instead of rolling, I would say I do more of a scrubbing because I lightly won't pick up DNA, so you really have to kind of get in there.
But because you don't know where the DNA may be, you do that scrubbing all over the outside of the sheath.
Correct, especially in a contact DNA situation.
And you do both sides of the sheath?
I did, yes.
And then you did the same procedure for the inside of the sheath?
I did. So it's quite small in a tighter area, and I did not cut the knife sheath open, so I just sort of blindly swabbed inside of it.
You swabbed as much as you could inside the sheath?
Correct.
And then because you had taken samples from the same item, you combined both the inside swab and the outside swab in developing your profile?
Yes, at the quantitation step, I had a very low amount of DNA in both samples. So to better my chances of getting a profile, I combined them for amplification.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you. That was a very narrow cross. Mr. Mora, any final questions?
And just a question on that. When you're examining an item of evidence to obtain DNA off of it, and let's talk about the knife sheath, are you taking precautions to make sure that there isn't cross-contamination with other items of evidence that you may have evaluated?
Yes.
And so the knife sheath itself, when you're taking these samples from it, are you doing that in a sterile area free of other items of evidence?
I'm doing that on my lab bench, which I have bleached. I'm wearing fresh gloves. I have no other items of evidence out or near, and I'm using sterile swabs and either sterile or distilled water.
And what was the first, stepping back on your first analysis of the knife sheath, did you swab that on May 1st of 2023?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay,
All right, Ms. Wood, thank you for making time for us today. Have a great day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy. All right, Mr. Juror, do you have a witness you'd like to call?
Yeah, you can call Kathleen Guillory.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Pardon me.
We just lost it. It's all good. Thanks, have a good day. What was the name again?
Kathleen Guillory.
Okay, thanks. Good morning, Ms. Carey.
Good morning.
Come on in and stand at the podium. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning.
The clerk will give you the oath, and then I'd like you to take the witness stand.
You do solemnly swear to speak about the give the cause nothing to the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, the person asking the record, the call vote.
My name is Kathleen Carey, Kathleencarey.
Okay, great, thanks. Mr. DeMar, direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Guillory.
Good morning.
Where do you work?
I work for Sacramento County Sheriff's Department.
What do you do there?
I am a forensic identification specialist.
And what is that?
My primary job duties are to evaluate and compare latent and inked fingerprints, to develop latent fingerprints on items of evidence, and come to court.
And when you say develop them, it means you process scenes, process pieces of evidence, and then you can submit those to labs for testing and analysis?
Correct.
How long have you been doing that?
I have been an employee of the Sheriff's Department for 28 years, and I have been a forensic identification specialist for 25 years.
Now, on May 3rd of 2023, were you involved in the investigation of a series of stabbings that took place in the city of Davis?
I was.
And had you been called out as part of mutual aid to assist with the investigation and location of the potential suspect?
I was.
And so I want to focus on a couple items of evidence that you processed. Are you familiar with sort of a green Fuji bicycle?
I am. May I refer to my report, Your Honor?
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Or should I say more like a teal-colored mountain bike? How about that?
Correct.
Okay. As a guy, I usually lump colors into one, blues and greens and things like that. So teal is probably more accurate, correct?
Correct.
And as part of, and did you process that bike for DNA samples and swabs?
I did.
And how about a black path water bottle as well?
The water bottle I do not have listed here. Just the teal-colored mountain bike.
And so what did you do with the bike itself? How did you process that?
I did a visual examination. I took photographs of the overall condition of the bike, and then I processed with black powder.
And did you do DNA swabs of that bike as well?
I did.
I want to focus on the prints itself. Were you able to obtain any identifiable prints off of the bike, or prints that appear to be usable?
On the bicycle, no.
In terms of your DNA swabbing, where did you swab?
I swab. Would you like me just to read from my report?
With the daughter's permission?
No. So you need to do your best to remember. And if you don't remember, then you need to let the lawyer know. And we're going to let you look at the report.
Okay.
But we want to know your familiarity with it. So
Okay.
That's the process.
Okay, to the best of my recollection, I swabbed on each of the metal parts of the handlebar. I swabbed on each of the grips on the handlebars. I swabbed on the seat, and I swabbed the top portion of the bicycle frame.
So when you say the middle portion of the handlebar, you're talking about the left and the right?
Correct.
And same with the grips, the left and the right?
Correct.
And when you swab those, did you turn those over? Where did you hook those, or did you turn them over to another detective?
I turned them over to another detective.
And was that Detective Ruben Ledesma?
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay. Thank you. No cross.
No cross.
Okay. All right. Ms. Carey, thanks for making the time for us.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Okay, Mr. Demora.
People call Ruben Ledesma.
Ruben Ledesma. Okay, Mr. Ledesma, good morning. Come on in. Please stand here at the podium. And we're going to give you the oath. After you take the oath, then the witness stand.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear to continue to give the cause not been before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
State your first and last name to the record. Please call them both.
Ruben Ledesma, RUBENLEDESMA.
Great, thank you. All right, Mr. Demora, direct exam.
Good morning, Detective Ledesma.
Good morning.
Where do you work?
Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, assigned to the Homicide Bureau.
And what do you do with the Homicide Bureau?
Investigate active and cold homicides.
How long you? I'm going to break it up in two parts. How long you been a detective?
Approximately 5 years.
How long have you been in the Homicide Bureau?
A little over 2 years now.
Where were you before you went to homicides?
I was assigned to the Robbery Bureau.
And in April and May of 2023, were you assigned to assist with an investigation in the city of Davis related to a series of stabbings?
I was.
I want to go specifically to a couple pieces of evidence that you took possession of. Back on May 2nd of 2023, did you receive from the evidence techs at the Davis Police Department pieces of evidence that then you transferred to the Sacramento DA's crime line?
I did.
And what pieces of evidence did you obtain and transfer?
Yeah, so going by the item number, I obtained evidence item SA2 and SA3, which were both fingernail scrapings from the victim, left and right hand, and a cell phone, which was labeled CS7.
And to your knowledge, were those fingernail scrapings from Mr. Karim Abou Najm?
Correct.
Did you transfer those items to criminalist Megan Wood?
I did.
No further questions?
Okay. No cross?
Yes, briefly, the cell phone, do you know where that cell phone came from?
I'm not sure. I believe I was told it was from one of the victims.
I'm not further.
Okay. All right. Anything you need to clarify?
No.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ledesma, thanks for your brief testimony. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks. Okay, Mr. Mora.
People call Valley work job?
Do you want to give me a preview of the spelling of the last name?
PRO. One second.
That's all right.
I can help you out.
We're going to get it officially here in a second.
PROKOPCHUK.
Is this the witness here? Good morning, sir. Come on in. Stand here. Yeah, it's great to have you here. Stand here at the podium. We're going to have the clerk administer an oath, and then I'm going to have you take the witness stand to my left.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
You do solemnly swear to speak your body and the cause not for the court, so the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Take your first and last name for the record and spell them both.
Vitaly Prokopchak, Vitally, Prokopchuk, UK.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Demora, direct.
Good morning, Detective Prokopchuk.
Good morning, sir.
Where do you work?
I work for the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department.
What do you do there?
I used to be a homicide investigator, and then I retired and went back as an annuitant.
So you're still a sworn peace officer today?
Yes, sir.
Back in April and May of 2023, were you working as a homicide detective at that time?
Yes, sir.
How long prior to your retirement had you worked with Sacramento County Sheriff?
24 years.
How many years do you have right now?
26.
So back in April and May of 2023, were you part of the team from Sacramento County Sheriff's Office that was dispatched to assist with the series of stabbings in the city of Davis?
Yes, sir.
And did you have a couple of roles in how you assisted with the investigation?
Yes.
Now, did you meet an individual by the name of Kimberlee Guillory?
Yes.
And where did you meet her?
At UC Davis Hospital.
Why did you meet her?
To obtain a DNA sample from her.
Did you obtain that sample?
Yes, sir.
How did you obtain it?
Just taking a swab of the inside portion of her cheeks.
And did you book that swab into evidence?
No, I took it directly to the crime lab, to the Sacramento County District Attorney's crime lab.
And who did you give that to?
Megan Wood.
Now, did you also take specific pieces of evidence to the Sacramento County Crime Lab?
Yes, I took multiple pieces of evidence during multiple times.
Was one of those items of evidence a Smith & Wesson knife?
Yes.
Did you transfer a sweater or pieces of a sweatshirt to the crime lab?
Yes.
And how about a towel that had been located during the search at a residence?
Yes.
And did you turn all of those over to Megan Wood?
Yes.
Did you provide Ms. Wood also with a DNA reference sample for Mr. Carlos Dominguez?
Yes.
And was that on May 3rd of on or about May 3rd of 2023?
Yes.
No further questions?
Okay, thank you. Anything? No more?
I do. One question. Forgot to follow up with the reference sample. Who did you obtain the reference sample from Mr. Dominguez from?
I would have to refer to my report, but it was from Davis Police Department.
Do you remember specifically who it was from?
No, but I wrote in my report.
If that'll refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Danielle Louise.
Great, thank you. No further questions.
Okay. No questions?
No.
Okay, no cross. All right. Vitaly, say your last name for me one more time.
It's Prokopchak.
Prokopchak.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Detective Prokopchak, retired detective, annuitant. Thank you for your testimony. Have a great day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so thank you to the jury. And anyway, let's take our morning break. Okay, 15 minutes. Get out and stretch. And don't form any opinions. Don't research. Don't discuss anything other than scheduling. Thank you. 15 minutes. Thank you, counsel. Off the record.
All right. They usually come back. Well, not usually, but sometimes they'll come back. So I'm just going to hang here for a minute. See if they come back on the record. All right. I guess I can go ahead and start. Can always stop when they come back, if they come back. All right. So let's see. We are in day 6. California versus Carlos Dominguez. And first up was Megan Wood. She's a crime lab criminalist, DNA expert. She examines physical evidence. She did the right and left hand fingernail scrapings from Karim. She tested the water bottle. She went through really nice presentation of DNA and what's inclusive, what's not inclusive, what's included. So let's see. Some evidence she didn't test. It was transferred to the California Department of Justice. So let's see. She tested Carlos's reference sample compared to the knife sheath, blood sample from David and the knife sheath. So she's not the custodian of records. Her lab is. The black knife sheath, she collected swabs that was brought into evidence. She actually showed that. She thought there might be blood on the inside, but she didn't see any blood on the outside. So let's see. Inconclusive if David was a likely contributor. She didn't have Carlos at that time. His testing didn't happen until May 4th. Carlos was included as a potential contributor. Then there was 5 out of Karim. There was 5 on his right hand and 6 on his left hand. Not sure why they did 6. She also tested the bicycle right hand grip, the left hand grip, the rear brake cable, handlebars, everything. Some they were all two contributors, so it was Karim and Carlos. I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess broadly some of those, Carlos was excluded. Some they were inclusive. I wish they would have just broken that down and said Carlos DNA was on this. As much as I really appreciate her explaining that DNA, at the end of the day, it still didn't make sense to me. Was Carlos's DNA on that bike or not? I wish they had just said Carlos's bike was on that DNA. Carlos's DNA was on that bike. So I can't really give you much there. Then Kathleen Carey came up. She's the forensic identification expert, fingerprint expert. She swabbed the handlebars, the seat, top of the frame, turned them over to the detective. That was it for her. And then Detective Ruben Ledesma, he collected Karim's fingernail scrapings and cell phone. That's that for him. Then now we're listening to retired Detective Vitalia Prokopchuk. He met Kimberlee at the UC Davis Hospital to obtain DNA. He took that directly to the crime lab, and he gave that to Megan Wood. So it was a knife, it was a sweater, pieces of a sweatshirt, and a towel from a residence, which I'm assuming would be Carlos's residence. So. All right, so that's pretty much it for now. Let's see. Psychosaurus Rex, defendant's illness Prodome and his instant offense remind me so much of a not guilty reason of insanity patient that you had. Obvious prodromal signs. Are we going to have to look up prodromal? Let's look up prodromal. Prodromal. Prodromal, relating to or denoting the period between the appearance of initial symptoms and the full development of a rash or fever. In medicine, a prodrome is an early sign or symptom that often indicates the onset of a disease before more diagnostically specific signs and symptoms develop. More specifically, it refers to the period between the first recognition of a disease as symptom until it reaches its more severe form. Prodrome are the more mild symptoms that appear leading up to the full-blown illness. Hey, Coops, thanks for doing this catch-up. Finished work and needed the update from today. No problem. Widespread. From what I know, prodrome means first symptoms. That seems to jive what my Google search just gave me. My Wikipedia, Dr. Wikipedia. What I know. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Well, I can't wait to hear the experts, because right now we're just getting, it's all law enforcement, basically. We've heard from a lot of law enforcement. We've heard from a few, well, Christine and Isaac, they were really good. Of course, Mom there. Mama Nadine, she was pretty intense. Justin. But I think the majority of these people have been law enforcement, first responders. Dr. Matthew Massey, he was a witness, I should say. Yeah, we heard from a couple unhoused people, Jose and Alberto, but I'm pretty sure they have homes now. I know Christine and Isaac certainly do. So. Brat says, I think mental illness will likely be uncontroverted. Legal insanity is a much tougher thing to prove. I expect the state to prepare to respond with experts they think will establish the difference. Yeah, I mean, again, at the very beginning of all this, the judge is like, just stipulate to this. You guys aren't arguing he did it. Well, that's what the state said. I'm sorry, defense. His very first words were, we're not disputing it. Defense's literally his first words were not disputing the actions. The question is, what was Carlos's specific intent and mental state? Those were his first two sentences. The evidence will show he has schizophrenia. So those were the first couple lines. So if they're not debating it, then why are we bringing in all this stuff? Just get to his state of mind. I just don't know. I don't get it. Widespread, Dr. Wikipedia and Uncle Google, the wisdom sources of the interwebs. Totally. We haven't heard about arrest and warrants yet. Booking, we heard about booking. He was booked. We heard about that. Correction officer Michael Fulstrom. We heard about that. But you're right. We haven't heard, the body cam and the interview. Apparently there's an interview. There's definitely an interview with him. So there's definitely an interview. And yes, the arresting officers, we haven't heard from them yet either. You're right, Northwest. Psychosaurus Rex. For schizophrenia, some prodromal symptoms tend to be difficulty with attention and concentration, withdrawing from friendships, poor hygiene, worry that develops into paranoia. That's exactly what they described him in the opening. His girlfriend, his family, and his friends all described that to a T. That's exactly what they described. He became paranoid. His hygiene went from pristine to horrific. He wasn't paying attention. He was just staring off into space. Nothing. He wasn't doing anything that was quote unquote typical or normal for a 18, 19-year-old kid in college. Ken Rosenberg, the problem is a lot of stuff can go to state of mind. Golden Girl, I do feel bad that he has no support in the courtroom, but that's just me. Widespread, I don't remember the story behind his family. We haven't really heard it. You don't remember it because we haven't heard it yet, other than what they said in opening, that they went on a family trip between freshman and sophomore year of college, and his sister said that he was just staring off into space. And that was an opening statement. We haven't heard anything yet. So I'm definitely wanting to hear what the defense, who they bring in. Deanna May, you can have schizophrenia and not be insane. I don't know. I can't weigh in on that. Yeah, that would be why. We don't know. Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's nobody there to support him, but we got to see what happens in the defense. Brad says, I think some things we've already seen will be highlighted by the state in closing, like the allegations that he was trying to hide the knife in the bag. I'm not yet sure either. Therapist agrees with you, Deanna, that you can have schizophrenia and not be insane. Oh, Zach, come on, man. Let's be kind to our therapist. Why do I want to say Psychosaurus? No, that is Psychosaurus. Okay. Psychosaurus Rex. You can have schizophrenia and still understand right from wrong, and the second prong of insanity, like Chloe Driver. She had prong 1, mental illness, but knew what she was doing. Okay, so she had mental illness, but she knew what she was doing. All right, so yeah, that's going to be the question. Does he know what he was doing? I guess he does because he ran away. Like, if he didn't know, right? If you didn't know what you were doing, you wouldn't run away. I guess that conscious of guilt, that kind of thing, you know? Hey, Abe, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Most people with schizophrenia aren't legally insane. However, I think schizophrenia is the main reason the insanity defense exists. It's an exceptional illness. So wait, most people with schizophrenia aren't legally insane. However, I think schizophrenia is the main reason for the insanity. Okay, I could see that. And bipolar. What about dissociative disorders? DID, what about that? You know, you literally were somebody else when you did this, and then you come to and you're like, what? I don't remember doing this. Remember, there was a guy that shot that person in New York City. We watched the documentary on him, and he had DID. That was pretty fascinating. Ken says, I'll admit that I thought the judge was wise to encourage stipulations, but at the same time, even if you stipulate to the acts, that still leaves 80% of the presentation. Abe says running away could be the paranoia as well, right? Yeah. Does he know right from wrong? Well, why would he run away, right? Why would he run away? Attempts to cover his action. Widespread, that makes sense. He ran away because he knew what he'd done was wrong. Abe says DID is incredibly rare. I can see an insanity defense working there, though. Yeah, there was a movie that we watched based on this true story. This guy shot somebody in Rockefeller Center, I think in the 80s. I think it was the 80s. And it's the first, or early 80s, maybe it was the first time they used that as a defense, and he won. He actually, I think he got off. That was pretty interesting. Coops asks, how does U.S. system work with psychiatric hospitals? We in UK have some of our infamous prisoners held there. Unfortunately, the prisons have become a de facto psych ward. They're where they just throw people in there and let them fend for themselves. When we were watching Chloe Driver, we did some, Dr. Rachel and therapist, and we did some deep dives on that, and it was just disgusting how much there's like 40% of people in prisons now or have some sort of mental states of mind that they've just become de facto asylums, if you will, or whatever you want to call them. I'm not sure. Psychiatric hospitals, I guess, is the right word. Official Sky Games Wrench. Love that name. Okay, very different. Insanity plea makes sense. For example, there was a case of a mother whom killed her newborn and 2-year-old son. She was suffering from postpartum, which can trigger psychosis. Abe says they have psychiatric prisons, or some hospitals will have forensic wards for special holding. Brett says, loosely speaking, legally insanity is genuinely thinking you are fighting space aliens. If you call the cops to help to fight aliens, it helps the defense. If you hide the aliens so no one will know. Northwest says, Coops, if not guilty by reason of insanity, you are committed to state mental hospital. If guilty, with mental illness, prison. County jails are the largest. Oh, looks like we got some movement. All right, I'll see you guys on the other side.
In case CR 2023-1391, after the mid-morning break, collecting evidence. Mr. Demora, do you have a witness you'd like to call?
Yes, we will call Officer Nicholas Burke.
Nicholas Burke. Officer Burke, if you could get him. Okay, good morning, sir. Good morning. Stand at the podium right before me. Thank you for being here. The clerk will give you the oath and then take the witness stand.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear to the testimony you are to give and cause nothing but the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Thank you. Be seated. State your first last name for the record.
First name is Nicholas, Nicholas. Last name Burke, Burke.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vanderhook, direct.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
What's your job?
I'm a police officer with the City of Davis Police Department.
And how long have you been an officer for the City of Davis Police Department?
Just short of 5.5 years.
And were you working as an officer for the City of Davis Police Department back on May 1st of 2023?
I was.
And on the night of May 1st, did you receive a call for service?
I responded to a call for service.
Okay, and what was that?
It was for a possible battery that had just occurred, which detectives on scene had relayed to dispatch. It had been a likely stabbing.
Did you respond to that area?
I did.
When did you get there?
Approximately 23:53 or 11:53 p.m.
Okay. And so I just want to clarify, were you already working on duty when this is reported to have happened?
Yes, this was at the end of my shift.
And what was your assignment at that time?
If I recall correctly, it was just extra saturation patrols.
Okay. And why was there extra saturation patrols?
Because of the recent stabbings.
And when you got there, what was the scene like?
So I arrived on scene. There was, I believe, 2 detectives already on scene. They had arrived a few minutes before me. It was a dark city street. There were a few unhoused people in the general area next to a few tents.
And what was the police presence there when you got there?
So at the time, there were 2 detectives prior to me, and I believe, if I recall correctly, 1 marked patrol car that left shortly after.
So was it still fairly, you were one of the first officers to respond then?
That is correct.
And what was the scene like as far as lighting conditions?
It was, barring the lights from our flashlights and patrol cars, dark.
What would the lighting situation have been there if you weren't there with flashlights and the patrol cars weren't there?
Dark. There's no street lights in that particular part.
And while there was people there, did you talk to any of them?
I did.
And was one of the people that you talked to Alberto Osorio?
It was.
And did you obtain a statement from Mr. Osorio?
I did.
Were you wearing a body camera at the time?
I was.
And was your statement recorded on the body camera?
It was.
Right. Any first question, John?
Okay.
Also, I'm showing you a video from People's 76. Just take a look at that for me, please. I'm just going to play a few seconds. I'm playing it without sound. Okay, I've stopped at the 8-second mark. Were you able to see that?
I was.
And you recognize what that is?
That is me speaking with Mr. Osorio.
And is that from your body camera recording from that?
It is.
And does your body camera fairly and accurately depict the scene and your contact with Mr. Osorio?
Yes.
You know, at this point, I'd like to publish.
Objection, hearsay.
Brief, just the rule of evidence you're relying upon, no argument. Or just, you don't have to state the code section, just generally the rule.
But it's a prior statement that is either consistent or inconsistent.
Okay, objections overruled.
Research to the
So, the transcript issue here, did the parties meet and confer regarding the transcript?
I was just handed the transcript. I believe they should watch the video, not.
Okay, we've had that discussion. I'm agreeable to that. But I do want one marked as a court exhibit, Mr. Van Hook, and I want to thank you for bringing back the transcript. Court exhibit next in order for the transcript. Thank you.
Got this one, and then I don't know what happened all of a sudden because commotion 2 minutes late. So that's in the spring, man. Okay.
Just a moment before you let me know when you're ready. Mr. Hudson, is this the video you expected?
It's starting not where the transcript starts, so I'm.
Okay.
All right.
Is this the video you expected to play?
This is, I may have grabbed, there's a couple transcripts for this witness. I may have grabbed the wrong transcript.
Sounds like it. Can you tell who that pertains to, Mr. Hutchinson?
I have a transcript where they're talking to 8 unknown people, so it's not simply just Mr. Osorio.
Yeah. That won't work. That objection will be sustained.
I believe this is the correct transcript. And it's been cut to just Mr. Osorio's statement. I believe.
I'm allowing that, not the 8 other individuals.
I have the transcript of the.
Hold on just a second. Can you explain to opposing counsel what's going on?
What could you concern is the transcript, I believe, includes other people other than Mr. Osorio.
Your Honor, we can sort this issue out without this witness and play it at a later time. And
Okay.
I think we need to meet in for a little bit on the
That's fine.
details here.
I think I see what you did, and we can talk about it. It looks to me like there are other people, and they're either unintelligible or there's nothing of substance. So, but yeah, why don't you meet and confer regarding it, because there's a lot there.
All right. And then also, did you also talk to Mr. Isaac Chesman?
Yes, sir, I did.
And then Mr. Chesman or anyone else try and direct you to any footprints or anything that was in the area?
Mr. Chesman mentioned footprints.
And did he try to show you any footprints at the scene?
I don't recall specifically being shown. I remember being across the street and he, I think, described them to me.
All right, did you see him?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, no additional questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vanderhook. Mr. Hutchinson, anything at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, subject to recall, we're going to keep working on that issue. Thank you for your time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yep, that's okay. Okay, I'm just making note of that. Making note of that. Got it. Okay, Mr. DeMora, another witness.
Yes, people call Megan Silverlake.
Okay, let's get the witness. Good morning. Come on into the podium here. I appreciate you being here this morning. I'm going to have the clerk administer an oath to you. After you take the oath, then have a seat in the witness stand for questioning.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear to your oath to give the cause not for the court to do the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please be seated. State your first and last name for the record and spell them both.
Megan Silverlake, Megan Silverlake.
Okay, thank you. Mr. DeMora, Juror.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Silverlake.
Morning.
Where do you work?
Sacramento FBI.
What do you do there?
I'm the field photographer for the division.
And what does a field photographer do for the FBI?
Everything from graphic design, videography, crime scene photography, just specialize in all things media.
How long have you done that?
15 years in September this year.
And as part of being a field photographer, do you deploy with the evidence response team, or are you part of the evidence response team?
Yes, for as long as I've been a field photographer, I have been on the evidence response team.
As part of your duties with the FBI, did you assist with the search and documentation of address 762 Hawthorne Lane in the city of Davis, County of Guillory?
Yes.
Was that on May 4th of 2023?
Correct.
At that time, had you and other FBI personnel been made aware of a series of stabbings that had taken place in Davis over the previous week or so?
Yes.
And at the time that you went to 762 Hawthorne, was that after being made aware that Mr. Carlos Dominguez had been arrested?
Yes.
So I want to show you a series of photographs. for People's Exhibit 50. Now, you've seen some of these photographs before, correct?
Yes.
The photographs you looked at, did that depict 762 Hawthorne Lane the day that you were part of the evidence response team?
It did, yes.
Now, were you one of two photographers that had arrived there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And who is the second photographer?
Gregory Jenkins. He's a special agent in the office as well.
You say Jenkins or Richardson?
I'm sorry. Gregory Richardson. Yes, he's a special agent in our office. Both are.
And the mayor approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
And so we're like just looking at some of these small shots of People's Exhibit 50. Are these photographs that you recognize as being taken in 762 Hawthorne Lane?
They are, yes.
And these are not your photographs, these were Agent Richardson's, right?
That's correct, yeah.
But do they fairly accurately depict Hawthorne Lane as you remember it when you were there on May 4th of 23?
They do, yes.
And permission to publish, Your Honor?
Okay.
Now, as part of your response, showing photo ending with 05. And so we're like, is that 762 Hawthorne Lane from May 4th of 23?
It is, yes.
When you and other FBI personnel went through the house, were you trying to document rooms upon law enforcement arrival and departure as well?
So part of our protocol, yes, is to enter the scene as it is shown before we start our search, and then we do the search, and then as we exit the scene as it looked and seemed. Yes, it's part of our protocol.
And we'll hear more about that tomorrow from Agent Pope, but as part of that to show any things that law enforcement may move or search or that are potentially damaged during the process?
For the exits specifically?
For the before and the after?
Before we touch the scene, and then yes, and exit is to show how the scene was depicted upon our exit.
And in searching residences, is it typical based on your training experience for rooms to be designated with letters to say, hey, we searched room A, photograph this is room B, photograph this?
Yes, that's correct.
And do you remember a room that was labeled as D as in David?
Yes.
Showing a photo ending 71.
I believe that's, yeah, room D.
And showing you a photo ending in 76. And do you recognize that as being part of room D?
Yes.
Photo 77, is that also a picture of room D?
Correct, yes.
Showing you, trying to show you a photograph of 84. There we go. Photograph 84, is that also a room D?
Yes.
When you were photographing this, when you had gone in to photograph the residents in these rooms, did you have any information prior to photographing who stayed in this room or in any others?
I believe so. Yes. I can't recall. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We only want you to testify as to what you remember, so it's okay. Now, was there a bathroom when you're looking at this room, room D? We'll just keep calling it room D. Is there a bathroom off to the left of that room?
No, it was off to the right. Exiting this room, it was on the right.
I'm showing you photograph 50. So now we're looking into room D, correct?
Correct.
And you said exiting the room, it was off to the right. In this photograph, is that bathroom off to the left?
No, you mean in this photograph, it's, to the left, correct. Yes.
And showing you photograph 51. Is that the bathroom that we're talking about?
Yes.
And showing you 58 if it'll open. And is that also that same bathroom?
Correct. Yes.
No further questions for this witness?
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Hutchinson, cross.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
My name is Dan Hutchinson. Thank you for being here today. So, you're a field photographer of the FBI.
Correct.
But these pictures that we were just shown, you did not take them?
I did not take those personally, no. Actually, I don't recall the bathroom photos. I may have taken those ones.
The primary photographer was Gregory Richardson?
It was a split scene, actually, so I was in charge of taking the evidentiary photos of it, and he was in charge of taking the entries upon entry.
If photos are saved in a file and it begins with basically a sheet saying photographer Gregory Richardson, does that mean he took those photos?
Yes.
So all the photos that were shown to you by the prosecution today, those were all taken by Mr. Richardson?
I don't recall because they're not in the format. I think they're all in all the same folder.
Does Mr. Richardson still work at the FBI?
He does.
Does he still work at the Sacramento office?
Yes.
Is there any reason why Mr. Richardson is not available today to testify to the photographs he took?
I don't have a response to that. I'm not sure.
When was the last time when was the last time you saw Mr. Richardson?
A few weeks ago.
To your knowledge, he's not out on vacation?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And the photos that the prosecutor showed you, was Exhibit 50?
Well, hold on just a second. I thought it was just an innocent oversight, but based on these questions, you referenced a man named Jenkins. Does that have anything to do with this?
No, sorry. I got my Gregs mixed up. Apologize.
You got your what
my
mixed up?
Gregs. My Gregories.
Okay.
I work with both of them, but Richardson was the one I was referring to.
Thanks for clarifying.
Sure.
Two Gregs. Greg Jenkins was not there that day.
No, he was not.
It was Gregory Richardson who was taking the photographs that day.
Correct.
The photographs the prosecutor showed you, those are not all the photographs Mr. Richardson took that day.
I don't recall, actually. If I were to see them in their own context as his photos and mine, I could probably identify them more.
Were any of the photos you were shown in People's Exhibit 50 the photos you took, or were those photos that Mr. Richardson took?
I could probably find out if I looked at the file info of the images, if you'd like me to do that.
So, show you People's Exhibit 50, and you can just scroll through my computer briefly.
Okay.
See if those are your photos, Mr. Richardson photos, or a combination. You don't have to go through it one by one. Just scroll through them and let me know when you're done. And you can, the arrows should be.
Does it show the file info on them? Actually, I need the make of the camera. If you right-click the image.
Okay, I'll let you do what you need to do.
Thanks.
So let me stop you for a moment. In order to determine whether you took it, you have to right-click every single photo?
No.
Okay.
I'm just scrolling and looking through the file info on the side column, showing me the information I need. So all of these were taken. My camera is a Nikon D850, and this one is showing that it's taken with a Nikon D780. And I would say we could probably confirm with Mr. Richardson if that was his camera he used.
But you do know it was not the camera you used.
Correct.
So it appears that the pictures you were shown today by the prosecution were pictures taken by Mr. Richardson.
Correct.
And when Mr. Richardson was taking photographs, you were not standing behind his shoulder every time he took a photograph.
No.
There were many times he was taking a photograph where you may have been in a different room.
Correct.
You know that these photographs were taken that day because looking at them, it was clearly the location where you were at.
Yes.
But there may have been photographs that Mr. Richardson took that you didn't ever personally observe.
Correct.
There could have been items Mr. Richardson photographed that you never personally observed.
I don't know, actually, because I was the person who took most of the evidentiary items. He mostly took the entry photos, but I could probably confirm with him personally. I have not.
So do you think these photos you were just shown are mixed up with you and Mr. Richardson, or are they just him?
The ones that I saw were just shot with either an iPhone, which isn't either of our cameras, or a Nikon D780.
When you say you took the evidentiary photos, what do you mean by that?
When an item was found in the house and deemed to be collected, they would call me to take more detailed images of it. The item.
Mr. Richardson may have taken an item as he found it in the house, but then later when those items were removed to be photographed, you likely took those photographs?
Yes. He photographed them in entries, but if they were found in a drawer, we typically leave the item in place and then photograph it, a wide shot, a medium, and a close-up of every item that we find in place.
When you say he photographed the entries, what do you mean by entry?
As we entered the scene, and as it was before we even touched the scene, he photographed it as the scene looked.
So Mr. Richardson would photograph the scene as it looked before anyone touched anything.
Correct.
And if you saw items of potential evidentiary value, they would then be removed to be photographed individually.
Sometimes. If they were found in a drawer and someone had removed it and then they said, oh, this is an item we might need, then we deem that's out of place. But if it was found just on the bed without anyone touching it, we would photograph it there in place to show it's where it was found.
And to determine if a photo was taken by you or Mr. Richardson, beyond asking you, we could right-click the photo and it will give us some information that will tell us who took it?
The information of the camera that took it, yes.
So, again, what camera were you using?
The Nikon D850.
And Mr. Richardson was using a Nikon D780?
I believe so, yeah. I can't confirm it personally.
Were you said there was also some photos taken with an iPhone?
Yeah, those I did not recognize.
So you did not use an iPhone?
No.
Do you know if Mr. Richardson used an iPhone?
No.
But some of the photographs that were taken, that you just reviewed, were taken by an iPhone?
I believe, yes.
Do you have any idea who might have taken those photographs?
No.
Would that be FBI protocol?
No, we don't take with our cell phones.
When the photos that the FBI takes are given to another law enforcement agency, like the Yolo County Public Defender's Office, not Public Defender's Office, the District Attorney's Office, do they separate the photos that you took versus what Mr. Richardson took, or do they put them all in one batch, if you know?
I don't know.
Were you with, can you even give an estimate of how long, what percent of the time you were in the same room with Mr. Richardson when he was taking photos, as opposed to being in different rooms?
I can't give you a solid answer, I'm sorry.
Because there were multiple bedrooms in this house.
Mm-hmm.
There were multiple bathrooms. 2 bathrooms.
I can't recall, but at least one.
You know, I have no further questions, but I am asking that you be ordered back for the defense case. I can give the court a date.
Okay, we'll do that. So we need you to testify at another time also, okay? And so we'll have to work with your calendar on that.
Okay.
At this moment. But is there further redirect, Mr. DeMar?
Just in terms of the evidence collection, and so were you also involved in another process of evidence collection besides photography?
As a ERT member or an evidence response team member, we're cross-trained to be, we can collect items of evidence as well. So I believe I did collect one item.
More specifically, did you and another individual with the FBI, Harry Silverlake, participate in swabbing DNA for potential blood, or swabbing potential blood for DNA?
Objection outside scope.
I'm going to allow.
Yes.
And no further questions?
The other person's name is the same last name?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Fine. So I opened up something. Any questions?
No question, Your Honor. That's fine.
Okay, and so the witness is under subpoena right now. I can extend the power of that subpoena. Do you have a,
Yes.
Based on our schedule, do you have a date?
I would request May 21st at 9:30 a.m. unless she contacts me and we reach an agreement for another date.
Okay, and she can get your number through the prosecution. May 21st at 9:30. I'm going to order you to appear then, but I'm going to allow you to meet and confer to pick a date that's convenient for you.
Okay, thank you.
But I have to have a placeholder.
Sure.
So that's what I'm using. Okay, thank you, and I appreciate you making time for us today. Yep, thank you. Okay, so we're to Mr. DeMar. Do you have a witness you'd like to call?
We recall Officer Burke.
Burke, okay. On that issue that I haven't had a chance to look at?
Actually, you know what? Let's call Perry Silverlake. I think that'll be a faster witness.
Okay, thanks. Okay, sir, come on in. Thank you for being here today. I'd like you to stand at the podium.
and it's good to have you here. The clerk's going to administer an oath, and then I'll have you take the witness stand.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear to you are to give and the cause not free for the court, which do the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. First and last name for the record.
Perry Silverlake.
If you could spell the full name.
Perry. Last name Silverlake. Silverlake.
Okay, thank you, sir. And you're comfortable. If you want to move in closer to the mic, that's great too. I think I'm picking you up fine either way. So, Mr. DeMar, this is a direct exam.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Silverlake.
Morning.
What do you do?
I'm a facility operations specialist for FBI Sacramento Field Office.
What's that?
It is a position that manages the day-to-day operations of each of our facilities in our area that we represent.
And as part of your job, do you have some collateral duties?
I do. My collateral duty is a member of the evidence response team.
And it seems we've heard from a couple members of different law enforcement agencies who are on their own respective evidence response teams. Is it common with FBI for personnel to have that collateral assignment being on ERT?
It is a chosen collateral. It is fairly common, yes.
So how long have you been a member of ERT?
I've been a member of ERT for roughly 3.5 years.
What are your job responsibilities when you're on ERT?
Just a general collector and kind of a catch-all. I have no specialties within that response team.
Sort of whatever the task means.
Whatever the team lead asks for me to do.
And who's the team lead?
For this specific case was John Pope and Tamika McCain.
Are you trained on how to collect DNA samples?
I am.
Did you respond when you say this specific case? You know you're here for the Carlos Dominguez prosecution. Did that require you, or did you respond to 762 Hawthorne Lane on May 4th of 2023?
I did.
What was your role when you responded to that location?
I was there to collect DNA swabs.
At the time you entered that residence, had specific rooms already been identified with letters, like a bathroom was letter C, or a bedroom was letter D?
Yes.
Now you said the collector. What does that mean?
The collector is the one who actually swabs the presumptive stains.
Are you usually paired with someone else called a finder?
Yes.
So the finder is the person who says, hey, look here, and then you go and you're like, hey, I'm going to collect that evidence?
Yes.
Did part of your duties take you, or part of your role, take you to a bathroom located in the residence?
Yes, it did.
And was that a bathroom located outside of room D?
Yes.
Did you see anything that either was brought to your attention or caught your own attention?
There were items that were brought to my attention.
And did you inspect those items yourself?
Yes.
What did you see?
Stains.
When you say stains, what types of stains, or at least what did it look like to you?
Presumptive blood stains.
Where were those located?
They were in the high-touch areas of room C.
When you say high-touch areas, what do you mean?
Areas that are frequently touched, so faucets, shower handles, doorknobs.
Okay, so another way to say commonly touched areas.
Commonly touched, yes.
I was thinking for a second you meant like height-wise.
No, sorry.
Right, so about how many areas where did you see these presumptive stains in these high-touch areas?
I do not recall.
Based on what you saw, did you end up swabbing for potential DNA?
Yes.
And you have a swab log with you?
I do not have one with me, no.
Well, would refresh your recollection to look at one of those to see if you can recall where you saw presumptive blood?
Yes, please.
Okay. Has this been marked?
This is not marked.
Okay.
This is just a refresh recollection.
And you recognize this document, Mr. Silverlake?
I do, yes.
And you've seen it before?
Yes.
Right. And in looking at the document, does that refresh your recollection of areas that you saw presumptive blood in room C in that bathroom?
Yes, it does.
And so what were a couple of areas where you saw presumptive blood?
The sink bowl in room C. There were two, I believe, if I recall correctly.
And how about the door handle?
The door handle does not.
Oh, excuse me. Other than the sink bowl, were there any other areas that you saw in room C?
The handle for the sink faucet.
Now, how about in the shower on the walls? Anything that you recall from that?
The shower faucet handles, I believe.
Now, did you go into a room marked D?
I did, yes.
And did you do this? Were items pointed out to you in the same manner that may have been of evidentiary value at that time?
They were, yes.
Right. Did you go into that room and inspect those yourself?
I did, yes.
And did you see anything in room D that you believe to be of evidentiary value?
I did.
All right, what did you see?
I saw more presumptive blood stains.
Where were those?
Those were around, on top of, and underneath the computer desk.
And did you swab and collect those areas as well for potential DNA?
I did, yes.
Did you see anything on the door handle of room D?
Not that I can recall.
And would it refresh your recollection to look at that swab log again?
It would, yes. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, it does.
And what else did you notice in room D?
There was a bottle of Fabuloso that was swabbed for presumptive blood as well.
And if you go back to the door handle, did you swab the door handle as well?
I did, yes. I swabbed the door handle to the pocket door.
The what?
The pocket door for the room.
Pocket door.
The pocket door is a door that slides from side to side, as opposed to opening out towards you or away from you.
Is that like a closet door?
It can be used in the closet setting, yes.
Was this the door to the room, between the room and the hallway?
Yes.
So the entry door? Okay.
Yes.
No further questions?
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Hutchinson Cross.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
When you said presumptive blood, you're referring to a stain that could possibly be blood.
That is correct.
You know from your experience there can be dark stains that may appear to be blood, but subsequent testing determines that they're not.
Correct.
So when you're looking for areas to swab, you're looking at any potential stain that could be a blood stain.
That's correct.
Even if you don't think it's a blood stain, you want to take that swab to be certain.
Yes, sir.
And you described going into a bathroom and taking certain swabs.
Yes.
That was from the sink.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
From the shower.
Correct.
And one other location. Where was the other location in the bathroom?
I'd have to see the swab lab again for specifics.
Faucet handle.
Faucet handle.
And then what your understanding is those swabs can be sent out for someone to determine if they are blood.
That is correct, yes.
When you went into the bedroom, you were told to swab around the desk. Is that what you said?
There were areas around the desk that I was told to swab. Correct.
Which, where there were stains that, based on appearance, could possibly be blood.
Correct.
And you swabbed those areas around the desk?
Yes.
So you actually swabbed the desk itself?
Yes.
And you swabbed underneath the desk?
Correct.
Did you take any other swabs in the bedroom?
The entry door, there was also a bottle of Fabuloso that I took swabs from as well.
Okay. Did anyone point out any other items for you to swab in the bedroom?
Not that I recall at this moment.
When you take swabs, is it the practice to take swabs from items that you can't take with you? Obviously, you can't take the shower with you, you can't take the sink with you, you can't take the door handle with you. Is that the practice, to take swabs from those sort of items?
Yes.
If you have an item that has clear blood on it, but you can take it with you, the practice is to book that into evidence, correct?
Correct.
And then later a person can take a sample of that item and test it.
To my understanding, yes.
So just hypothetically speaking, if you were to find a suit jacket with blood on it, you wouldn't take a swab of the suit jacket. That suit jacket would be packaged and then booked into evidence, correct?
Correct.
So in taking swabs, your focus is on swabbing the areas that cannot be collected as evidence.
That's correct.
And if there were other items found in that bedroom that had blood or suspected blood on them, but could be packaged and booked in evidence, that probably wouldn't have been pointed out to you. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, not to me.
Right. I have nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, counsel. Any follow-up, Mr. DeMore?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that concludes the testimony of Gary Silverlake. Sir, thank you for your testimony. Have a great day. Okay, Mr. DeMore, do you have a witness?
People call Corporal Chesman Campbell.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Come on into the podium right here. Thank you for being here. We're going to have the oath administered, and then please take the witness stand.
You do solemnly swear to speak what you give and the cause nothing for the court, to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Be seated. State your first and last name for the record and spell them both.
First name is Che, spelled C-H-A-Y. Last of McCampbell, M-C-C-A-M-P-B-E-L-L.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Van Hook, direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What's your job?
I am a police officer for the City of Davis Police Department, County of Yolo.
And how long have you been a police officer for the Davis Police Department?
This December of 2018.
And were you working as a police officer for the City of Davis Police Department back on May 1st of 2023?
I was a police officer, but I was not actually on duty. I was at home.
And did you become on duty at that
I
point?
became on duty rather quickly. Yes, sir.
What were the circumstances for that?
I received a phone call from our lieutenant asking about a situation that had happened.
Right, and was it a stabbing?
There was a stabbing.
And was that reported to have happened on L Street, kind of between 2nd and 3rd?
Yes, sir.
And are you familiar with various surveillance video cameras that are located in downtown Davis?
I am.
And specifically, are you familiar with a camera that is located at the intersection of 2nd and F?
I am.
And are you able to access that camera?
Yes.
How are you able to access cameras? Is that like a city camera, or what's the deal there?
No, the camera is owned by the property owner. I had a relationship with him prior to law enforcement, and he allows me access to various of his personally owned security cameras.
Okay, so this is a private citizen's personally owned camera, but you have access to it.
Yes, sir.
And were you able to access the camera system to look for any video that might be relevant to the incident involving the stabbing on L Street?
I was.
May I first witness? Okay. I'm showing you it's 26A. There's 5 videos. Can you do me a favor and click through those and see if you recognize them?
Yeah, I recognize these videos from the same camera that I viewed the night.
And then, when you reviewed them, what were you looking for?
In addition to being able to access the cameras, the city provides us like an MDT or information that comes from the police dispatch on our on a cell phone. So I was able to actually log in and see the updates and the description that was given during the time of the call. So what I was looking for was a description that was provided, being that the location was close. I thought there could be a chance that I could see a subject or someone involved in view of the camera.
And were you able to find videos of a person headed towards the direction of L between 2nd and 3rd on May 1st?
Towards the direction of L Street, yes.
May I publish your name?
Okay.
So this is from People's 26A, and this is the video. Ending. So there's a number sequence at the beginning of the name of the video, and this number sequence ends in 13_000.
Thank you, Counsel.
And so, sir, are you able to see the screen okay?
Yep.
Can we do this just a little bit? Does this show the intersection of 2nd and F?
Yes, it does.
And can you orient us a little bit? I'm going to show you People's 25G. And what I'd like you to do is just take a look at 25G and see if you can see that same intersection on 25G.
Yeah, so to be the 2nd Street goes east and west, and F Street is going to be north and south, and this camera is picking up facing north at the intersection of 2nd and F Street.
So I'm going to put People's 25G on the overhead, and then we'll put back to the recording. And so looking at 25G, there should be a laser pointer there on the table to your right. Can you show us where the intersection of 2nd and F is?
Sure. So this is 2nd. That would be the Amtrak station. This is G. This is right here.
So that's 2nd and F?
Yes.
Okay, sir. And you were talking about some directions. Can you show us on this kind of overhead Google Map type view of which direction north is here?
Sure. North would be where the red dot is traveling northward. East-west, this is second where the red dot is. East would be to our right if we're looking at it, and west would be to our left if we were viewing the picture.
All right, and north was to the top?
Yes, sir.
And if we could please switch back to the video. So from this video view, what are we seeing as far as which of those directions is here?
Can I use the pointer?
Please.
North would be this direction. East is that direction. And west is here.
So north is towards the top left.
Yep.
East is to the top right.
Yep.
And west is to the bottom left-ish.
Yes, sir.
Understood. Thank you, sir. And so from this video, were you able to, let me try that. This timestamp that's here at the bottom of the video of 23:59, are you able to see that?
Yes.
And is that near the time that you were able to see someone on the video?
It is, yeah.
I'm going to play the video forward from this point forward. We saw a person on bicycle come from the left-hand side of the screen to the right-hand side of the screen. Were you able to see that?
Yes.
And so what direction is that person, what street is that person riding on?
The street, immediately he was going eastward on, eastward on 2nd Street.
Understood. So he's going east on 2nd through the intersection with F.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to switch videos. And are you able to see this video, sir? That's the same one. You able to see this, sir?
Yeah.
And this camera view that we're looking at now, is this also from that same location, same building on 2nd F where the prior surveillance view that we had was?
It is.
And we see a street that runs from the top left of the screen kind of down to the right. Do you see that?
Yep.
What street is that?
The street that is immediately east is going to be F Street.
Okay, and so the street that takes up most of the view, what street is that?
That's going to be 2nd Street.
And did this video also show that same person riding the bike?
It showed him still going eastward on 2nd. Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to play the video for you. I want to ask you about these timestamps that are on the video. Here at the bottom it says 22:59. What's that in civilian time?
That's 10:59.
And do you know whether or not the timestamps on the videos from this particular location are accurate, meaning that they're correct with real-world time?
Yes.
And have you accessed video from this particular location before?
Yeah.
And has it consistently been that these times are accurate?
Yes.
Let me stop you there. Officer, we've got a few more questions for you.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take our midday break. We're going to resume sharp at 1:30.
Okay.
So you're excused until that time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. To the jury, enjoy your midday break. Do not discuss, do not form any opinions, and don't research. And I'll see you for the second session, folks. Thank you very much for your service. All right.
All right, so they are taking their lunch break, but I'm going to stay here just in case they come back. Sometimes they do. Yeah, what was that? Like Space Lock? That looked like some Star Trek, Star Wars, Blade Runner, something. Does Davis have those? Is that in their city hall? Is that the door going into court? That's a pretty cool door. All right, so after our break, we had Officer Nicholas Burke come in. He had body cam of Albert Osoro, and he talked to Isaac Chesman. There was some issue with that body cam, and I think he's going to have to come back. He's subject to recall. All right, looks like they're coming back. Or maybe not. Maybe they're done. Okay. So he's subject to recall. Then we heard from Megan Silverlake. And then right after that, we heard from a Perry Silverlake. So trying to figure out what the relationship is. So Megan, she's a FBI field photographer. She does all things media, graphic design, photography. She photographed Carlos's residence after he had been arrested. But then there was also this Gregory Richardson, who was a field agent. He took photos of the entrance and exit. She takes photos detailed. He is going to come in. I heard the state say we'll hear from him later. So he is going to come in, just not today. Then Cross came in and they determined the different cameras that she uses. Or she uses a Nikon D850. Gregory uses a Nikon D780. iPhone, she didn't recognize. She's like, no, we do not. FBI does not take photos on their cell phones. She's also subject to recall for the defense. Then on redirect, she swabbed blood for DNA. Then we'll hear from another person with the last name Silverlake. So they kind of teased that. Now she's going to be recalled May 21st. So that's next week. Then we heard from Perry Silverlake. He's an FBI facilities specialist. He collects DNA samples. He collected swab stains from the faucet, doorknobs, and shower handles. There were two in the sink bowl, one on the sink faucet handle, one on the shower faucet handle. There were more stains around. He said there's a computer desk. He said he found more blood stains around, on top of, and underneath. Then there was a bottle of Fabuloso. I don't know. I guess he's trying to clean up with Fabuloso. And then now we're hearing from Officer Shay McCampbell. He knew this person from a previous encounter, knows this, whoever this was. He was able to get surveillance video, and there's two videos of somebody on a bike at around 11 o'clock at night. So, all right, we are going to, we're having some issues with our, we're having issues with our internet on other devices. So we're going to end this stream, and then I'm going to schedule another stream. So this will be part 1. I'm going to end the stream, and we'll do a part 2 for the afternoon. So they are breaking until 4:30 on the East Coast, 1:30 on the West Coast. So we are going to end this stream. And then we're going to reschedule another one for 4:15, right? So go and enjoy your lunch. We're going to do some things here on the back end and hopefully get our internet working. So we're going to end this stream. I'm going to set up another one straight away, and we'll schedule that for 4:15. So thank you for joining us on day 6 morning session, part 1. We'll see you for part 2, hopefully. Fingers crossed in another hour. Okay, see you guys later. Bye. Oh, thank you to Aaron. Thank you to our mods. Thank you to Super Ball for being with us. And we will see you guys in about an hour.